कर दे रहा हूँ, ठीक है।
I hope you all are doing well. Uh, Due to some unforeseen reasons, we have had to uh, close the chat, which we have been instructed by the higher authorities at the admin, which is I feel very sad because as it is, our lectures were not very interactive, and at least otherwise we were like chatting in between. So at least I was getting the input and I was could see some interest, but unfortunately now I would just have to be delivering the lecture and as a pure didactic type of a lecture, but unfortunate what to do. But I hope if you all have any one of you has any queries, please feel free to message me or email me. My email, as I've always mentioned, is munazza.obaid, MUNAZZA dot OBAID at duhs.edu.pk. Munazza, MUNAZZA dot Obaid, OBAID at duhs.edu.pk. I will repeat this right at the end also. Okay, so today our topic is nuclear medicine. Um, it's always been my habit that whenever I start my lecture, I uh, would like to explain that why a topic has been selected in the subject of community medicine. So when we talk about nuclear medicine in community medicine, it's basically because a concern of public health. It's concern of public health, and uh, we are very much concerned because lots of people are affected by nuclear medicine, and its usage and world over, and in hospitals and in different industries, nuclear power plants. We come across the nuclear isotopes, which we will be talking today about. And then it's our concern that why and how can we protect human and proactively, rather, being protective. And until unless we know its attributes, we cannot design a preventive mechanism. Okay. So today we will be talking about nuclear medicine and then its types of radiation, effects of radiation, and then preventive measures from radiation. Of course, when we are going to be talking about nuclear medicine, so उसका radiation होंगी और उसकी radiation के बाद उनको किस तरह से हम प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे वो इज द थिंग दैट वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट. Unfortunately, again, I'm going to be cribbing about it because, like, it is very sad that we cannot talk about. Otherwise, at this point in time, I would have really wanted to ask that what do you think that how and where nuclear medicine can you be coming across? But anyways, uh, basically, the origin and nature of radiation, how it came into being. It goes back to as old as the old famous Big Bang, which was 10 to 20 billion years ago. So when universe, a hot, compact, extremely dense mass before the Big Bang. Later, when the Big Bang occurred, what happened was there were neutrons and protons, which were 300 million tons per cubic meter. And by following Big Bang, all sorts of elements were formed from hydrogen to uranium. We all know that all these are, be it hydrogen or be it uranium, are very um, active elements. So formation of elements included their isotopes, which were not stable in nature, and isotopes became stable, emitting a wide variety of radiations in the form of electromagnetic waves and particles. Well, this has a lot of physics to itself. I'll be explaining what is isotope, and then we'll go further. But then here we need to understand that there are different types of particles which are being emitted from these isotopes, and there may be alpha and beta particles, which are high-speed charged particles, whereas neutrons are high-speed uncharged particles. Then we have gamma and X-rays, which are electromagnetic radiations. Okay. Um, all this, I would tell you, is not something we would generally make any questions from. This is just an introduction, so you do not have to mug this up. Okay. But in further, when we're talking about different types of isotopes, and when we're talking about alpha and beta particles, that you will have to know. Okay. Okay. Now, isotopes are the elements with the same number of protons but a different number of neutrons, which is the neutrons. And the neutron to proton ratio in the nucleus determines the stability of the atom. So whenever we have to say that the atom is stable, the proton and the neutron would have the same, all if not same, the right kind of, the right number of neutron and protons, so to balance them. Okay. And energy is released in various ways during this decay or return to ground state. When they say ground state, it means that coming back to the normal state. Okay. Radionuclides decay by the emission of alpha, beta, and gamma radiation. So when there's a isotope present, when different radiations, that is alpha, beta, and gamma are emitted, this will produce a stable element. Okay. And what we are concerned here with the alpha, beta, and gamma radiations. These are the radiations which are nuclear radiations, and which can cause varied damage to the human body. Okay. What is a half-life? Half-life is the time it takes for a particular radionuclide to decay to one half of its original activity. Okay. So here, as you can see in the diagram, you see this is how it is doubling: 1 to 4, 4 to 8, and 8 to all this. So when we talk about half-life, it is the original uh, the time required to do the original activity. Okay. So half-life of most radionuclides used in nuclear medicine ranging from several hours to several days. So uranium may have a different half-life, and hydrogen may have a different half-life. And so it's basically, it is the time it takes for a particular radionuclide to decay to one half of its original activity. And all this helps us in when we are doing the different types of tests, the CT scans or the MRIs. We inject these nuclear medicine, nuclear medicine elements in the body, so so to see and to get rid of after the CT scan has been done. When when you hear that we need to get a contrast CT scan done. So when the dye that is being used is the nuclear element that is being used. Okay. And why we are concerned of its half-life is that how much time will it take to get out of the body. That is why we're concerned of the half-life. And as little of the half-life is, as easily it will be passed out of the body. Because while we're injecting it, we are making a contrast so that we can see the image or see the whatever required uh, uh, image that we want to see in the body, right? So in that case, we would want to get rid of that dye as soon as possible, as soon as the test has been done, right? So that is why we're concerned of the half-life. There are many man-made sources of radiation, and there are a lot of radiations which are being produced naturally. For that matter, like if we talk about the biggest radiation source, that was the Big Bang itself, and then we have a lot of radiations from the sun, and but then we have a lot of man-made sources, so which are medical and dental x-rays, nuclear reactor operations, research and industry. So we have a lot of, the industries and nuclear plants that we have to produce. Uh, we have all those missiles, and we have all those, the nuclear plants to tell everybody, the country, different countries, that we have a nuclear missile, and to have one is a good idea, but to use one is not a good idea. We all know the repercussions and the consequences of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. To this day, it has been seen that there are mutations in the human cells that has happened, and it has been ages ago, more than 50 years now, but it still is been being run in their generations. So to have nuclear missiles and nuclear plant just to scare the other country is a good idea. But then again, you has to be very, 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 very careful, in the sense that if there is a leakage, for example, there was this Chernobyl leakage, and then there was this Fukushima leakage in Japan, where it was. I'll tell you a very interesting story. When this Fukushima leakage was done, so they say that there was hardly any human lives lost, or any kind of a mishap happened or whatever. But then what they did was, they I think the name of the element was cesium 135, and it was what they did was, when the reactor had a leakage, they sort of placed it in the sea. Okay, so now what happened was that that water that was recycled to the plant, the grazing lands, or different areas where the cows grazed. Okay, after that they grazed, the milk that was used to make cheese, that cheese even had cesium 135. So can you imagine the kind of and then of course, as it was being disposed of in the water in the sea, so when it was being disposed of in sea, it affected the sea life, the fish, and all that. So even if they take care of it very well, if there is a leakage, it can cause destruction for years to come. So it has to be very, very, carefully handled. And so mining and milling of nuclear materials is, of course, has to be done with lots and lots of care. Nuclear weapons testing, medical irradiation vary from 10 to 50% of those due to natural irradiation, higher in medically advanced countries. Okay, because the usage and the tests are being done, and if they are not being disposed of well. And unfortunately, for example, I mean, if you, I'm sure you guys have sometime or the other had to have an X-ray done. Okay, so how many times have you seen a technologist or the technician being very careful and wearing those lead aprons to protect themselves? They don't even wear it to protect themselves. And like, sometimes the mother is standing beside the child if the child has to get the X-ray done, or the maximum they do is they ask you कि आप थोड़ा सा पीछे हो जाएं, या आप थोड़ा सा साइड की तरफ हो जाएं, या थोड़ा सा बाहर की तरफ निकल जाएं. We do not have that culture, huh? So, like, why I'm emphasizing on, because later on in your years, in another year, you will be, inshallah, physicians and doctors. So you will have to take care. It is being taken care worldwide, but then as statistics show that there are a lot of mishaps in advanced countries also. Unfortunately, everybody seems to be talking about low middle income countries, but they whatever is happening in these advanced countries, nobody is talking about, because they are the lords. But then again, if there is any mishap, it is, if it's happening in the advanced countries or it is happening in the low middle income countries, either ways, it is not a good idea. So we should be very, very careful when we are using this. The biological effects of radiation. Radiation from radioactive material or electromagnetic waves from a source has the ability to split atoms and molecules into charged fragments or ions. And when radiation splits a chemical bond like H2O breaks into H plus and OH minus ions, as it is known as direct method. So H2O2 is a extremely poisonous chemical. Now there could be indirect damage or there could be direct damage. The direct is H2O2, which is a poisonous chemical. Now, when we are talking about indirect damage, it can affect the DNA, and beta and gamma radiations are of low linear energy transfer. यानी कि उनकी जो energy transfer है वो कम होती है. They are not moving as fast, they are not as harmful, but alpha and neutron radiations are of higher linear energy transfer, and they cause a lot of damage. Okay. Now the type of the classification of radiation effects. There could be acute or late effects. As I talked about the X-rays, and or you could be having a very late effect in that. And then at the time of, for example, if you're talking about Hiroshima, Nagasaki, there was acute damage to the eyesight, acute burning, acute explosion, and death, right? And then there is late radiation effects, which is occurring till this day in their genes. There were children being born without arms and legs. Yeah. So we need to be these are the different types of acute and late effects. There are somatic effects in person or genetic. The damage could be living tissues. Destruction occurs largely at the cellular level and may become visible, taking the form of burns and various types of organ failure. As I have mentioned, I have mentioned the acute and the late phases. Okay, this is the somatic one, which you can actually see. Okay, and then we have the stochastic and non-stochastic. The stochastic one is that it is dependent on the dosage. Okay, so the disease increases with the dose, and once the disease occurs, severity is same no matter how big the dose was. For example, cancer or no threshold matters, right? But in case of non-stochastic, in this severity of effects depends on dose. Threshold exists. That is, for example, if you're talking about the type of radioactive element, 7.5 SV is extracted. So then it develops cataract. This could be in different mining areas where the nuclear mining is, there. Okay. Uh, as everybody and as in the world, they have made different protection rules and regulations and different protecting bodies. So International Commission in Radiation Protection, which is known as ICRP, most of the countries of the world have adopted recommendations, and they protect oneself from harmful effects of ionizing radiation. And then we have the aims to protect the detrimental and non-stochastic effects and limit the probability of occurrence of stochastic. The unfortunate part is that it exists, but then what? It does not, it does exist, but it does not, is not implemented. For example, as I said, that in X-rays, you were supposed to be wearing those lead protecting gears, or the whatever the coat, or some kind of an apron, but which is not being used, and nobody is checking, nobody is keeping a counter check. These ICRP people, where have they gone? Where they may inform the universities or the hospitals or the the radiology department के फला दिन हम जो है वो क्या कहते हैं सर्वे के लिए आने वाले हैं. So when the survey is going to happen, they will take care of all the precautions and then gone with. So that's very unfortunate. Protection from radiation, what matters is limiting the exposure time. For example, if somebody is in the nuclear mining area, he should be, placed there. An individual should be placed there for like whatever the time that has been assigned the ICRP, and not overworking. Like if it is एक्सपोजर जो है वो 1 आवर का एक दफा में होना चाहिए, और उसके बाद फिर 2 दिन तक के नहीं होना चाहिए, to wash it off. So it should be that, right? Then the application should be according to the decay time that we have talked about, ना कि half line कब तक की होती है, half life कितनी होती है, उसके हिसाब से उस को यूज करना चाहिए. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल रेडियोलॉजी डिपार्टमेंट में भी जो एम्प्लॉइज हैं, दे शुड हैव 1 मंथ का या 6 महीने का टाइम पीरियड, एंड देन आफ्टर दैट दे शुड बी नॉट placed there. They should be placed somewhere else. डेस्क पे डेस्क जॉब दे दें, और उसके बाद फिर वो जो डेस्क वाले हैं उनको वहां पर मूव कर दें कंप्यूटर ऑपरेशन के लिए, और उनको एक्सरे के लिए मूव कर दें. ठीक है. अच्छा, फिर ऑफ कोर्स डिस्टेंस मैटर्स, राइट? सो एज आई सेड ना कि वो जो टेक्नीशियन है वो माँ को ये कह देता है कि थोड़ा सा दूर होके खड़े हो जाएं. तो ऑफ कोर्स द रेडिएशन दैट इज गोइंग टू कम, अगर डिस्टेंस से आ रही है तो इट इज गोइंग टू बी हेल्पिंग एज protective. ठीक है. फिर shielding is important. Practically no shielding required for alpha radiation, but 5 mm thick aluminum can absorb alpha and beta particles, and 10 mm sheet of lead is required for gamma, X-rays and neutrons. ठीक है. तो ये मतलब ये कि lead की covering हो या कुछ इस तरह की चीज हो, तो ये सारा शील्ड जरूर होनी चाहिए, किसी न किसी किस्म का प्रोटेक्टिव गाउन जरूर होना चाहिए. ठीक है. So patient prep and safety. Nuclear medicine procedures prep is minimal, most tests requiring no special prep. A few procedures the patient will need to be NPO. Patient usually remains in their own clothing, removing all the metallic objects. Why? Metallic objects mimic as in pathological conditions, so it will give wrong readings. Okay? The patient gets radio pharmaceutical injection or then will return for imaging in a few hours so that the dye has sunk in the body, so it is detected the right way. Waiting time between dose administration and imaging varies with each study because of the dye half-life that we've discussed. Some radio pharmaceutical requires the patient to remain in isolation after injection or require special disposal of urine products. ठीक है? तो क्योंकि वो जो भी प्रोडक्ट यूज किया गया है, जो भी दवाई यूज की गई है, वो इमिट करेगी बॉडी से भी, सो उसको आइसोलेशन में रखना है फॉर अ पीरियड ऑफ हाफ लाइफ, कि कब वो कितनी देर में किस तरह से बॉडी से एक्सक्रीट करती है, एंड if it's being excreted from urine, so the urine products have to be disposed of the right way. ठीक है? Protection of nuclear medicine, as I said, you should be using the gown, these gears. These are the lead things, and then we have the gloves, goggles, eye shield, and all that. Okay. Let me show you some videos that I have gotten. I've taken it out for you.
This video is going to give This video is going to give a very short introduction to nuclear medicine. We'll give an overview, explain why we use radiation, and give examples of nuclear medicine.
शायद आवाज साफ आ रही है ना? शायद आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है.
Let's begin. So, what is nuclear medicine? Nuclear medicine is the use of radioactivity in medicine to help diagnose and treat patients in a unique way. Nuclear medicine differs from other uses of radiation medicine, such as X-rays, which come from machines outside the body. Instead, radiation is injected, swallowed, or inhaled to get inside the body. We can break nuclear medicine down into 3 different types of procedures: imaging tests, non-imaging tests, and therapy. Let's talk now about radiation. Why would we use radiation? Isn't it dangerous? Everyone is exposed to small amounts of radiation all the time, from natural sources such as rocks and soil to foods such as bananas and nuts. Whilst the radiation used in nuclear medicine is stronger than what we are naturally exposed to, its usage is closely monitored and controlled to ensure that the benefits outweigh the risks. The radiation used in nuclear medicine is removed naturally from the body in a short amount of time, often less than a day. We can combine radioactive substances with other materials, causing them to go where we want in the body. We call this mix a radiopharmaceutical or a tracer. Using a tracer, we are able to get useful information and treat diseases in ways that would otherwise be unavailable to us. Let's break down the 3 main categories of nuclear medicine: imaging, non-imaging tests, and treatment. Imaging is a large part of nuclear medicine. Scans such as X-rays and CT are able to provide great information about the structure of the body, but nuclear medicine provides information on the function of the body. The tracer that is administered inside the body is able to be seen using a special camera, which allows us to see where the tracer is in the body. Let's look at an example of an imaging test. A myocardial perfusion scan is a scan that visualizes the blood flow to the heart. The tracer goes to the heart and is absorbed by the healthy heart tissue, but not by unhealthy heart tissue. This allows us to see what areas of the heart are receiving blood and what areas are blocked, providing useful information that can be used by doctors. In non-imaging tests, a tracer is given to the patient. However, instead of using a camera, we take samples from the patient, such as urine, blood, or breath samples, depending on what we are interested in monitoring. We can measure how much radiation is in the sample and give us information about the patient. Let's look at an example. Blood volume test measures the total amount of blood present in the patient. The patient is injected with a known amount of radiation, and we wait a small amount of time for this radiation to mix evenly with the patient's blood. We then take a blood sample and measure the amount of radiation in it. The amount of radiation in the sample is compared with the amount of radiation injected, and we can calculate the amount of blood in the patient. Nuclear medicine can also be used for treatment purposes, also known as therapy. We use radiation that doesn't pass through the body as easily as an imaging, so it deposits its energy in a small area. This can be used to kill cancer tissue, reduce tumor size, or reduce pain. Let's look at an example. Iodine therapy is used to treat thyroid cancer. The only part of the body that absorbs iodine is the thyroid, so we can use a radioactive form of iodine, I-131, to treat thyroid cancer. The I-131 is absorbed by the thyroid, and any thyroid cancer that spreads to other parts of the body. Radiation kills cancer with minimum damage to the rest of the body. To quickly summarize nuclear medicine, radiation is placed inside the body and travels to a specific location. This allows us to perform imaging tests, non-imaging tests, and targeted therapy. Thanks for watching. This video is
What is nuclear medicine? An illustrated introduction. From diagnosis to therapy. Diagnostic by imaging is an essential tool in the detection of many diseases, such as cancer. In the nuclear medicine department, a radiopharmaceutical is injected to the patient. Radiopharmaceutical distributes itself in the whole body and concentrates in the disease areas. It is taken up by the lesion, and any residual is naturally eliminated. The patient is then transferred into the camera. Radioactivity allowed to provide an image. First pass gives an X-ray picture, and second pass gives a PET or SPECT picture. Fusion gives the PET CT or SPECT CT image. The images allow us to clearly see the lesion location. From diagnosis to therapy. Nuclear imaging plays a vital role in treatment or therapy for the diseases. The radiopharmaceutical is injected, diffuses into the whole body, concentrates in the disease, and progressively destroys the disease. Personalized medicine. Nuclear medicine has also applications in neurology, cardiology, oncology, orthopedics. These images help to anticipate if the patient will respond effectively to a treatment. Imaging allows us to look into the body to see the organs and to make the appropriate diagnostic and treatment decisions for the patient. Nuclear medicine is creating a future for personalized medicine. Where do these radiopharmaceuticals come? Radioactive products are originated either from reactors or cycles. These products are then processed as radiopharmaceuticals, where they are transformed into radiopharmaceuticals. Radiopharmaceuticals are then shipped to the hospital and eventually injected into the patient. These products have a radioactive short life, and after less than a day, the radioactivity has completely dissipated. An initiative of Association of Imaging Producers and Equipment.
Okay, students, that's all for today. And I hope it was informative for you all. And kindly send me or whoever wants the PPT can email me. Otherwise, it has been uploaded on the LMS already. You can take it from there. And if there are any queries, please you can email me. my email address is munazza.obaid@duhs.edu.pk. MUNAZZA is MUNAZZA.OBAID@duhs.edu.pk. Thank you so much. Take care. Chadwick?
Yes, madam.
I think it's finished कर दें.
कुछ कह रही मैडम?
जी बस lecture end कर दें.
Yes, madam. Okay, madam. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Office.